On this episode of This is Game Boy, sweet dreams are made of seeds. Saving kids with my friend Miki. I travel the world to find the 7 keys. Everybody loves them some ice cream. Welcome back, everybody, to another brand new episode of This is Game Boy. I'm here, like always, Moelle, and with me today, unlike previous episodes with Gran Hero, eBloodyCandy is back.
Hello.
Yes, there we go. We didn't really pay attention like always. But apparently this is our 3-year anniversary episode. So we've been doing this for 3 years already. That is absolutely crazy.
Time.
Yeah. We didn't really plan anything special for this one because we just had this one on our schedule to go. But yeah, next time we will do something a little bit different. But yeah, for this episode, yay, happy 3rd year anniversary for sure. But we will just be covering another game like we always do. Like always, let's first take a look at what we have been doing besides recording the podcast and things like that. So let's start with you, EBC. What have you been up to?
I played Hugo 2 for the Game Boy. That game is pretty hot trash.
Yep, yeah, I played that as well, actually.
It's so frustrating. Like, it's not a hard game after you've played for 45 minutes and memorized the entire game. 'Cause it's only 4 mini games.
Yeah. It needs a little bit of an explanation. I don't think we will ever do an episode on this, unless Alberto Gonzalez has some very interesting insights in this game, because this was made by bit managers for sure. But for people who don't know Hugo, Hugo is actually a mascot from a German kids television show, and the way it worked was, and I'm pretty sure the same concept also was on TV in different countries, but I'm pretty sure Germany quote unquote invented it. It was one of those shows where kids could phone in and they had to play a video game with their phone. That sounds really weird, I know, but back in the day you just had a phone with buttons on it, like an actual landline and not your cell phone. And like the numbers were the D-pad, and then you had like 1 and 3 were jump or smash or things like that. So this game is based upon that principle. It's a few mini games that are like they were in the show. That of course wasn't on Game Boy, it was on another system specifically made for that thing. But this is basically a quote-unquote port of that concept, and they did a great job with the graphics, they did a great job with the music, but it's just not something you want to play. Like, it was even crappy having to play it on your phone, basically, for the TV with like the delay and such. But yeah, it's just, it doesn't work. That's the issue with this game.
It's 4 mini games that they're all random. Like, you don't get to pick your mini game. It's like once you hit start game, it just randomizes these 4 mini games. Like, what you may get snowboarding one time, you may get swimming another time, and like it's just so. But like the issue is, like, it's not so much like it's a hard game. It's literally one of those games that like you have to memorize when things are coming. Like, that's literally the game. Like, you half the games, most of the games, you don't even utilize all of the buttons on the Game Boy.
Yeah.
And there's only 2 buttons on the Game Boy, mind you. So You know, it's like, but once you beat the 4 games, you go into this final screen where like this chick is zapping the floor, but like there's no indication of where the floor's been zapped. So hopefully you have extra lives or you understand what the hell's happening. And then you get to this stupid lock screen, and you're just like, you look at it, it has a countdown timer, and you're just like, what do I do? Do I press A? Do you press B? Nothing happens. All of a sudden, you're presented a screen with a bunch of keys, and you're just like, oh, am I supposed to match the key to the lock? And you are, and then you win. It's like, wow, this is literally the dumbest game ever. Like, it took me an hour to beat it, and the first 45 minutes of that was me memorizing the games, like all the mini games.
Yeah.
The snowboarding game is the worst one because
the variety is like very lame on it. Like, just check it out yourself. There are different endings for each difficulty, and difficulty only means you have to grab more of a item, or like some of the stages are a little bit longer, but that's literally it. And it's not worth playing it on a harder difficulty at all. But you have to check it out to understand what it is. But now you know. Yeah, now you at least know where the idea comes from.
At all.
I don't know why it got made into a Game Boy game. Like, I'm sure it was just to promote the show or whatever. But yeah, it's not meant to be on a console or a handheld.
Well, the curious thing is, like, Hugo 1 is basically Crazy Castle, but Hugo 2 is a complete different thing. So.
Yeah, which is this game.
Then there's Hugo 2.
Basically, like, there's nothing much more to it. Yeah.
Hey, man, it's high demand game.
Yeah.
Those Germans love their Hugo, apparently. Outside of that, Burning Crusade Classic launched on the 2nd. World of Warcraft, for those that don't know. So, but a lot of my time has been sunk into that right now. I think God's Basement. I haven't finished it yet because I've been playing it with you. But played God's Basement for a few hours in a way.
Yeah.
It's an interesting game.
Yeah, it's fun playing. It's like I don't like playing those games myself. Like, yeah, I don't know. I like them being there. Yep, that's a sentence. I like seeing them be played. There we go. Hey, I can English. But I don't really enjoy playing them myself. So it's cool that I get to experience this way. The only problem is it's a first-person horror game. And I'm not good with that, looking at people play those things. So
it wouldn't have been so bad if you didn't have the triggers weren't so perfect. So like in the game, like you'll see videos of it once we get it up and posted, but basically in this game, like everything is revolving around triggers because it's an atmospheric horror game, and the triggers are basically like, I'm not going to say pixel perfect, but like you have to be like in the right spot to make something happen. Like there's no leeway with it at all. Like there's no padding, there's no nothing.
Yeah.
Like if you're not in the right spot, it doesn't trigger at all. And there's a zoom function, and a lot of the triggers require you to zoom and interact, even though it doesn't tell you to zoom and interact. So whenever we get stuck somewhere in the puzzle, I go ham and start zooming and interacting like a madman around the area that we have to like hit this trigger, and I know it's just destroying Mo because it's like I know Mo doesn't like or can't handle the first person shooter stuff like that. At least that POV, and here I am like zooming the screen every like 10 seconds.
Yeah, anybody
trying to get
who
this damn
has
trigger to go
motion
off
sickness from playing or looking at those types of games will know what it's about. So after a while, I had to stop because I would have gone very sick probably. And not only that, it's also like being streamed through Discord, so the quality isn't like as good as it should be, which makes it even harder for me because some stuff gets pixelated, and it's a thing. But like, I mean, I lasted over 2 hours, so I was already glad that happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we played for about 2.5 hours after like 20-30 minutes of technical difficulties and understanding how to separate a bunch of audio channels. The setup was a very interesting process, but we got it. It's going. And hopefully we can get those videos
I watch a lot of like Let's Plays and things like that, and I know like technical difficulties are constant. Like even if you have it set up, like next time you try it, there will be something wrong with it. So looking forward to that. So yeah.
Oh, I'm sure something will break. Yeah, I'm sure something will break in the process. Also, I got word that my This is Game Boy stuff came into the post, so I have to go pick that up. Probably after we get done recording, so I get to go see it live and in person. So, and it'll be literally hot off the press because it is currently 93 degrees Fahrenheit.
Probably.
Or what is that?
I don't know how to
Celsius. 34.
Yeah.
34 degrees Celsius. It is a steamer out today. So, it's a hot one. Outside of that, working on the Game Boy game that I'm working on, I slowed down on it quite a bit because I hit a little bit of burnout with it. That and WoW kind of consumed me again for a bit. And doing database stuff for the Game Boy. Like I got us manuals. I just need to scan them, and I'm sure Legs is just like jumping at the bit. Like, you need to scan these manuals. If you do, we can have a bunch of them. And it's like, yeah, but it takes me like an hour to scan one manual, so it takes forever. But yeah, that's really all I've been up. Oh, and I did Assassin's Creed Wrath of Druids DLC. I 100% did that DLC. It took 20 hours. And then I think the next DLC is coming out in like a month or two, which is the Siege on Paris, which I'll 100% that as well. Then I think there's a new like Assassin's Creed coming out this year. So a lot of Assassin's Creed probably coming in my near future. But
yeah, I've been playing a lot actually.
What about
but
you?
I'll just skimp over everything real quick with a little bit of comment on it, I guess. I completed Final Fantasy VIII Remaster, so I got the Platinum Trophy. That was really easy, especially because you can speed it up 3 times. And that makes you long for them to put some kind of speed up in every RPG ever. Because, I mean, especially for older people like us, we don't want to... like, I know it's a thing of JRPGs or ARPGs or whatever, that grinding is a part of it. Okay, but like I don't mind the grinding if I can speed it up a little bit, because it's the same action you're doing over and over again. And I just don't have the time for that, you know. I just want to get through it quickly. So those speed up things are really cool. I'm still praying that they will just add that onto new RPGs, but I know they're not going to, because they want people to just literally play them forever. But I think it's a good thing that developers should think about, especially because there's so many RPGs out there every year. If you want people to play them all, put some kind of speed up in there. It does. You don't even have to add the other cheats that Final Fantasy remasters do, like with God mode and things like that. Just the speed up alone, it just makes it so much more fun to play, in my opinion. Like the music doesn't speed up or something like that, so you can just still enjoy that. It's just the actual gameplay. So yeah. Take note, if any JRPG developer is listening, please put that in your future games. And speaking of slow RPGs, I started The Legend of Dragoon. So like I actually did a poll on my Twitter, because I I wanted to play a PS1 RPG, and I have a few of them lying around, and I was like, I don't know if I want to play Chrono Cross, Legend of Dragoon, or what was the third one, Wild Arms 2, and the Legend of Dragoon 1, so I'm playing that. And I'm not sure, but I think this might have only come out in Europe. I know it was the very first RPG that Sony of Europe made. It was their first try, and it's an amazing one. And if you want a copy right now, it's gonna cost you a whole lot of money. So good luck with that. But I do recommend the game. But coming from Final Fantasy VIII Remaster with the speed up and now playing this one, because it is the PAL version. Again, I'm not sure if it only came out here or not. Okay, so yeah, it's already a little bit slower because of the 50 hertz thing. A good example. Usually it doesn't really feel like it, but with this one it does feel. But a good example, the difference between the 50 and 60 hertz. If you play Final Fantasy IX, there's this special way to play it to get like a special item, but you only have blah 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 hours to get to that, but it's in-game time, and on the PAL version of the game it's way harder to do that because it just runs slower. So that's a good example of the difference between it. It doesn't feel like it, but it really is slower. So yeah, I've been playing this for a bit, and I love it. I think it's a really great game. I love the battle system. I think it, for me at least, it was the very first one where you besides just doing the standard RPG things where you have a menu and you need to choose your attack, this one introduces combos, or let's say quick time events to do combos during play, and that makes it a little bit more exciting. But it also drags out all the battles because you have to go through those quick time events every time. So yeah, the process is going very, very slowly to get through this one, and maybe that's not for everybody, because I think it's the slowest RPG I've ever played when it comes to that. Yeah, but great animations, interesting story. Not the best graphics you can imagine, but it I don't know. This is a really good RPG that gets overlooked a lot of times. So if you're looking for a fun PS1 RPG, JRPG, I guess it's an ERPG because it was made in Europe. Yeah, that's definitely one to check out. I played a little bit of new Pokemon Snap. I've only done 2 areas so far. I don't know, I haven't been feeling the need to play it, I guess. But it is fun. It is Snap, it's very relaxing, so maybe when I really, really want to relax, I'll dive more into it. I'm not gonna complete it with all platinum photos or things. I don't think I'm gonna do that, but yeah, it's a cool game so far. I also finally platinumed Near Replicant. I don't know why, but probably because I'm the most unlucky person in the world. But the grinding part of this one, or farming, I guess, for some items to get all the upgrades for the weapons, took me like 20 hours more than any estimated time to do it. So that was a lot of fun. Like, it always happens to me when I have to find like a rare item in a game. It takes me 4 times as long as anybody else for some reason, even if I'm doing all the correct things to make it better. But yeah, that took me a while. So play Near Replicant, get all endings, and stop playing it. I don't think it's worth doing a platinum trophy unless you're somebody like me who wants to complete their games. But yeah, besides that, Near Replicant is amazing. It's a really cool game. I still like Automata more, but Replicant definitely an amazing game. And then, like, in between, I also played some more Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2, because, yes, I've talked about this before, you need to grind, a lot to get to level 100 in that game. It's actually ridiculously stupid, but I'm just playing with each character because they all get a solo tour now, which wasn't available in the original edition. It got patched that everybody has their own tour, so I'm sometimes I just pick it up and play through a tour with one of the characters. But yeah, that level 100 thing is still like 60 hours away or something, which you don't really want to do. But yeah, that's my stuff that I've been playing non-Game Boy related, but I have made a lot of progress with Portable Pleasure. Just gonna quickly go through this list. I've played P10, which is a quote-unquote puzzle game where you are a chicken that lays eggs, and they go on these seesaws, and there's little chicks at the bottom, and you have to get them all the way to the top before the wolf eats them. It's also on another system. I don't remember which one. It's super simple. It's not that easy, actually. But it was a fun game, and it also has a very disturbing final image if you beat the game. So, yeah, definitely approved by Nintendo for some reason, but it was weird. Then I did Winter Gold, or Winter Olympics Lillehammer 94, but Winter Gold is easier. You know what that is. It's an Olympics game. You do it to a few things, you win or you don't win, and then the game is over. Like, it's super simple. Played Ninja Taro, which is a super interesting game, which we will probably do an episode about in the future. But it's basically roll and skirts, but with a ninja. And a little bit more expanded than that, but yeah, it's a really cool game. It is slow. I don't know why they did that, but your character walks super slow, and the rest of the enemies in the game don't. So it was definitely not a problem that they couldn't program it. But yeah, you're the slowest ninja ever for some reason. But besides that, it's a really, really good game. I did Shoplifter 2. I think everybody knows what Shoplifter is. You're a chopper and you lift things. I mean, that's basically it. It's a really cool game. I always loved at least 2 and 3. I think 1 came out on some Atari thing way back in the day. I don't know how that one works, but 2 and 3 are definitely really cool games. I've played McDonald Land, which... the game itself wasn't that bad, but the momentum in the game doesn't make any sense at all. Sometimes you fly while you jump, and other times you just fall straight down, and I couldn't get the hang of it. But at least I got through the quote-unquote turbo tunnel in one try. I was really happy about that, because there's no continues, I think, in this game.
Dude, that game has platforms that go from crabs to platforms, and you can duck under the crabs perfectly fine, but if you try to duck under the platform, the hitbox on the platform grows and it pushes you off.
Okay, I didn't have that problem. There were a few jumps where you needed to have momentum to get over them, and one time it did happen, and the other times it just I have no idea how that works.
Yeah, that game
but,
is a
I mean,
mess.
it's fine. You can get through it easily, so... and there's no difference between easy and hard mode either or something like that. Yeah, so, whatever. We already mentioned Hugo 2, so skip that one. I've played the original Pac-Man on Game Boy. It's an amazingly bad port. Really do not play that game. It has an issue with hitboxes and also corners for some reason. I don't know, it just doesn't work like it's supposed to.
It's just
it's really not good. Like, if you want to play Pac-Man on Game Boy, play Miss Pac-Man. That one actually works, so yeah. Or play another version of Pac-Man, but not the Game Boy one. And it's weird because, I mean, Miss Pac-Man works perfectly fine for some reason, but yeah, whatever. That is true. Yeah. I don't know why they messed up the port so bad. Nah. But I don't even like Pac-Man to begin with, so it wasn't... Yeah. After that, I played the Blues Brothers. Oh my god, the Blues Brothers. The Blues Brothers, that's just the name. The other one is called Jukebox Adventure.
Okay, so
so this is based on a DOS game, and you can see when you play it that it's based on a DOS game. It is a huge mess. Great music though, because it literally plays the entire soundtrack of the Blues Brothers. So at least you know the songs, but yeah, this is a garbage game. Absolutely garbage. I'm sorry, Blues Brothers, but oh boy, the moment you play it, you realize, oh, this was a DOS game that they ported and it just doesn't work. No. Just avoid it or check it out because it is very short. That's the thing, but like the lives and the yeah, I don't know.
I've only ever played
Yeah.
Jukebox Adventure, and that game is definitely pretty jank to begin with, too, even as a platformer. But it has some charm to it, and yeah, like you basically just listen to the Blues Brothers theme almost the entire
Yeah. At least this one has 5 songs, so which is really cool, especially for people who don't know the Blues Brothers. Like, time to watch the movie. Only the first movie, though. Do not watch Blues Brothers 2000 or watch it and laugh or cringe or whatever. But yeah, but Blues Brothers is amazing. Yeah. After that, I played Gambari Goemon Sararareta. That I messed that word up, but Ebisumaru, which basically translates to Mystical Ninja Goemon Rescue Ebisumaru, which is the other guy from the Goemon series. I love this game. It's really cool. If you ever played the Goemon game on Super Nintendo that everybody knows, I think it's just called Mystical Ninja. It's that, at least the overworld thing. Not like the platforming stages in between, but the overworld thing for the entire game. And it's really awesome, except for one stage, which is completely awful, but yeah, doesn't matter. You have passwords for each stage, so you can get through them. The only problem is this is only in Japanese on Game Boy, at least. On original Game Boy. There is a Game Boy Color version on the Konami Collection Volume 3 or something, which has a translated version. If you like just looking around on your own without knowing what you need to do, you can play the Japanese version. But like, you can talk to people and they literally tell you what to do, but as I couldn't read Japanese, I was just walking around and trying to figure it out, and it's easy to do so. But maybe check out the Game Boy Color version just because it is translated, and it will make it a little bit shorter that way, but otherwise, amazing game. Absolutely. After that, I went to Vegas Stakes. I picked that up because this is hard to say. Somebody put a bounty on Vegas Stakes to get a new world record. I wasn't going for that. I just wanted to check out the game and how the RNG manipulation worked in that. So yeah, I spent some time with it trying to figure it out, and I actually explained that the bounty was there, and somebody who was watching me actually did figure out better RNG and beat the world record, so he's probably enjoying his, what was it, $200? Yeah, so I hope he's enjoying his bounty, but yeah, I made him check out the game. But yeah, it's a casino game, if you don't know Vegas Stakes, like AVGN just did an episode on it, really. Yeah, really good
episode,
one.
mind you. It's probably the best episode because it has Shaq Fu in it.
True, yeah. Oh boy, but yeah, like it's just what you expect. It's blackjack, it's poker, it's roulette, craps, and something else. Oh, slots. Yeah, but yeah, you need to get $100,000. And then you go to the high rolling casino, and if you get 999 blah blah blah, you win the game basically. But you can like manipulate a few things to get money easier, and then when you have enough, you can actually like play blackjack or roulette and try to actually win the game. It's like pretty easy to do. After that, I checked out Cool Hand. I thought it was a casino game, but it's not. It's actually called Las Vegas Cool Hand, but the Game Boy version is just a cool hand. It's card games, like you have blackjack, solitaire, and cribbage. Blackjack is completely rigged. You can get a winning screen if you again go to $999,999, but it's so rigged that it wasn't fun anymore, so I didn't even try. But yeah, it's just blackjack. Like there's nothing more you can say about it. But each of the games do have like the different rules from different casinos and things like that. If you're really into that, so you can play whichever one you would like. Solitaire has also 4 variations. Klondike is the one you all know. The one you played on Windows probably, or just on your own. It's just normal solitaire. But yeah, of course, it's a luck-based game. Like, there's no way to always win that, so you just have to play it until you get lucky with it. I did try out the 3 different versions of it. I can't remember what they were called, but they are even more based on just having luck. I didn't like those variations at all, so maybe somebody else does like them, but I don't. I only know 2 variations myself, the Klondike one, which we just call normal solitaire, and then clock solitaire, where you just like put everything like on the hours of the clock in a circle, and then you have a stack in the middle, and if you pull a 1, you put it at a 1 and you pick the next card and blah blah blah. But if you pull all kings, you die, basically. But yeah, again, that's pure luck based. Like there's just no way to actually finish it. And then the last one, and I was kind of afraid for that, is cribbage, because I had no idea what cribbage was. It looked so weird. But I did look up a video of it explaining how it worked, and I was like, okay, this is actually pretty simple to play, but there's so many ways you gain points in that game that I would not be able to play it without an automated system tallying the points. And luckily, of course, on Game Boy it automatically tallies it, so it was pretty easy to win a game of that. But now I know how to play cribbage, which is really cool. So after that I just found something, and I saw that it was like a half-hour video. And I only had half an hour left to stream, so I was like, let me check this out real quick. And it's a game called Zettai Muteki Raijino, which is a... I keep forgetting how they are called. Sentai, is that it? Like the things like Power Rangers and stuff like that. Shows like that. It's one of those shows. This game is absolute bullshit. I can't explain this game. You just have to watch my video or another video on the interwebs about it. But great music, great graphics, but I think they forgot that they were actually making a game, and it was over in 10 minutes, basically. And then finally, after 3.5 years, yes, that's how long it took me, I finally picked up Adventures of Lolo again to finally finish it, and I still hate it. I just do not like that game at all. But I will get through it. I think I have 25 stages left. I just want to get it over with, so it's finally done. But yeah, I hated this game so much the first time I played it that I waited 3.5 years before picking it back up again. So, and I know there's a lot of people who love Lolo out there, but it's not for me, and it will never be.
That's how I am with that Ghostbusters puzzle game. Not new Ghostbusters, like not with the one that's like the person following you around, but like the one where you have to like break the floor. Or
yeah,
whatever.
Garfield in Europe, I think.
Yeah, the Garfield Labyrinth game. But like the Ghostbusters, but it's called Ghostbusters 2, I think, or Ghostbusters in America. God, I do not like that game. I played that game 3-4 years ago, and I got halfway through it, and I still haven't picked it back up yet.
Yeah, sometimes you just come across a game you really don't like, and yeah, I just have to get through it. So hopefully next week I'll have it finished. So, but yeah, awful game. anyways, that's all I've been playing. So I guess it's time to dive into.
That's all you've been playing.
Yeah,
Literally,
it's a lot, but
literally played as many games in 2 weeks that I play in like a year.
yeah, I did play a lot. Most of them were short enough to have this kind of list. Well, yeah. Well, yeah, with that, we'll actually dive into this week's episode. And by the way, if I sound a little like non-interested today, I am interested, but I am absolutely wrecked today. I didn't get much sleep for starters the past 2 days, and I went to a amusement park yesterday with my godchild and its parents, and then absolutely wrecked me. It's been like 16 years since I went to an amusement park, and now that there's the coronavirus, there's like a limited amount of people allowed, so we did everything multiple times, and whew, I'm not in my 20s anymore. It actually took its toll on me. Plus, then there was like 5 hours of sitting in a car, which I hate. I can't stand sitting in a car for more than an hour. So today I'm a little out there. So, but I'm very interested. But I do probably sound super tired at this point.
But yeah. When we come back, we're going to be talking about a very Japanese game about a magical cat raccoon shapeshifter. So stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about Pokonyan Yume no Daibouken, or Pokonyan Dream Big Adventure.
Yes, or even, especially outside of Japan, Rocky Racket.
Rocky Racket.
That's how they call it. Yeah.
Yeah. This game, or this game, the character itself is kind of interesting. We can go over a little bit of that in a second, but this game was released August 5th of 1994, developed by Toho and Funari. So, what happened with this was, when this game was released, Toho literally went out of business. So there's actually a copyright in the actual memory of this ROM or of this game that shows that this game was actually at least started in 1993. So when this game was developed, it was developed by Toho and Funari, and published by Toho. But like I said, like basically, like after this game was released, Toho went out of business. I think in 96. So, yeah. poor Toho. And if you don't know who Toho is, just think Godzilla. That's probably one of their bigger things that Western society would know it from. Composers, we got Makoto oh my god, I'm so bad with Japanese name. Makoto Igarashi and Minoru Endo.
Yeah, I couldn't find much information about them, but one of those two, I think Minoru Endo, is actually like a real composer, like not specifically for video games, but somehow they did end up working on this project. Because I saw a lot of like pictures of the person, and it looked like he was like, or still is. Again, I can't find much about the person, but that he's like an actual composer, at least. But yeah, I mean, everybody is a composer that makes music, but like in a different way. Like video games are not their forte in this example.
And then a new general overview section, genre.
Yeah.
Puzzle.
Got introduced during the Battletoads thing, yeah.
Puzzle platformer.
Mm-hmm.
So, plot. So before we get into the plot, I feel like we need to... A lot of people probably don't know what Pokonyan or Rocky Racat is at all. I took the time to watch 2 short episodes because the anime that came out, there were only 170 episodes, which sounds like a lot, but they were only 10 minutes each. Like it's one of those shorts. And I watched a few of them. So just to understand what this is all about, a little girl named Miki and her family were hiking in Japan, and Miki got tired, so her parents were just like, well, if you can't keep up, just kind of making fun of her. They kind of just like left her in the woods. And then basically she heard this like crying coming from like behind some like grass or whatever, and when she walked over and like parted the grass, Pokonyan was there sleeping, and when she basically scared it, it turned into like a smaller version of itself and went into her backpack, and it ate all of their food that they were carrying for the hike. And then when they went back, because her parents were like, "Oh, look, there's something in my bag," and the dad was like, "Whoa, a caterpillar must have got in there." And I was like, "Yeah, one big caterpillar apparently." But like once they opened the bag, they're like, "Oh, ha ha ha, our food's eaten. Let's go back home." And then it got free, and it went into like all of her friends' backpacks and started raining havoc. And eventually, like what happens that Pokonyan can actually shapeshift into things around its environment. So it can turn into a bird, it can turn into a fish, it can turn into pretty much whatever the heck it wants. It's not a mischief maker by any means. It's just a girl with you can think of like an imaginary friend, right? Like your imaginary friend can do anything. It kind of like in that sense.
Yeah. Like this ties into it a bit from like the Rocky Racat description then for how that show was. I've never seen it because I don't think it was localized here in Belgium at least, but like from the description of Rocky Racat, and it's like Rocky uses his powers because he's named Rocky in the thing, and the girl is named Amy in the quote-unquote English version of it. So Rocky uses his powers to turn Amy's dreams into real-life adventures. Although Rocky's efforts are well-intended, his efforts are not always successful. Occasionally, these adventures short-circuit and become near disasters. So, yeah, it's definitely like an imaginary friend that can make your dreams come true, basically,
Yeah, the anime itself has a very interesting, like, I don't want to say history, but like port. So it was dominantly popular in Japan, obviously, and Vietnam. But episodes did go out to, like Egypt, the Middle East, and places of that nature. We never got it here in America. I don't know if you ever got it in Northern Europe at all.
Not that I can remember, at least. Like I can't. Like this is definitely made for a very young audience, but it was my age gap at that time. But I can't remember ever seeing this.
Yeah, this was made for a very, very young audience. Even the game was too, but we'll touch that here in a second. But the theme song is very catchy. And if you listen to them, they're all different. So like the Japanese one is very upbeat and kind of loud. But if you listen to the Vietnamese intro of Rocky Racat, because they don't call it Pokonyan in Vietnam, they call it Rocky Racat in Vietnam. It's the same Japanese intro, but they pulled the treble down and lifted the bass up, and then voice-overed the Japanese. So it's very interesting. And then if you listen to like the India version, the Egyptian version, like they all have like a very subtle difference to them, but overall it's almost the same intro, just like tweaked here and there. It's an interesting anime. I'm not gonna watch all 170 episodes. Like I'm probably just gonna watch like the 3 that I did just to understand what this thing was. But it's the 3 that I watched honestly weren't all that bad. Like it was very, very early mid-90s anime. So the plot of this game now leading into it, and this is from what I gathered with Google Lens to translate, because like we said, this game is exclusive to Japan, and Mo and I don't know Japanese. So I used my phone's Google Lens to translate Japanese to English the best that it can do, which by the way is not very good. So all of your friends are sleeping or in some sort of sleeping curse. And you play as Pokonyan or Rocky Racat with the guidance from your friend Miki or Amy, and you must play through all of the stages, gather keys to unlock these seeds to awaken your friends from their sleep curse. Essentially, is what the plot is.
Yeah, there's a lot of dialogue during the game when you're entering a world and when you finish the world, but I mean, will it be very important to the overall thing of the game? No. Probably not, but it probably kind of plays out like an intro and an outro to an episode of the anime or something, but this is really basically all you need to know about the game to understand what's going on, actually.
Yeah. So in the game, once you press start and go through some small dialogue between Pokonyan and Miki, you get presented a overworld, and in the overworld you have a bunch of houses kind of spread out amongst this island that have Z's coming out of them. That means there's people sleeping in the houses. Something you may not notice right away when playing the game, because it's a very subtle thing, is that around all of the houses with the Z's, there is a small animated like grass or some sort of ground movement around these houses. That means that there is like some sort of weird curse or some sort of thing around this house, like causing them to sleep in the house right now. And then once you've completed the stage, and when completed, I mean we mean collecting the keys, which we'll get into in a second. You collect the keys, unlock the seed, and then that cursed ground around the house disappears, and a flag comes out of the chimney. So that's something with the overworld, and then you move Pokonyan through the overworld. You have to be over the house, and you hit the house to go into the dream realm, so to speak. But he does move kind of slow in the overworld. But graphically, it looks good. Like there is a lot of blending because it's a Game Boy game, right? So there is some colors that do blend together a decent amount. But overall, like graphically in the overworld, it's great. I just wish Poco could move a little quicker. He just poke around a little bit. Once you've entered a home, which is interesting too, because 2 of the characters is Miki's parents. The second house you enter is her father's, and like the 4th or 5th house you may enter is her mother. So maybe her parents separated. I have no idea what's going on there.
I think that's just random. Yeah.
This is what happens after the anime. Once you go into a house, though, you can see your friend or your parents sleeping, and basically Miki's like, "Hey, let's go see what they're dreaming about," and Pokonyan basically goes into the dream. and here's where the actual gameplay starts. Like, this is where the puzzle platforming starts. A is to jump, and B makes your tail wiggle, which puts out this, like, magic powder or some sort of sparkle that transforms enemies into usable items to traverse through the stages, which is an interesting concept and a really cool concept because Pokonyan himself is the one that's actually supposed to transform into something, but it's a Game Boy game, so they probably had a lot of limitations to that. So instead of making Pokonyan transform into a bunch of different things to traverse through the stage, they basically gave him an quote-unquote attack to transform enemies into objects to get through the stage, which I thought was actually a really cool thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a cool concept to do for sure. I mean, it has been used in other games nowadays for sure, but and it kind of reminds me of like A Boy and His Blob, for example, where you have like one thing with you, but you can transform it into a bunch of other things to help you figure out the puzzles. It's a lot easier than that game because A Boy and His Blob is a complete mess in my opinion.
Yes.
But yeah, it kind of resembles that for sure. But yeah, I wasn't even expecting that when I started the game. Like with any platforming game, there's two things you will always do when it comes to like attacking enemies. You jump on them. If that doesn't work, you try your attack. And yeah, you can't kill enemies in this game, so it was really weird when I first started it. But it makes sense immediately when you see the first enemy transform, what you need to do.
Yeah, and then as you progress through these stages, you come across two types of collectibles. You have ice cream, and the ice cream allows you to gain extra lives. And then you can collect keys. And there are 7 hidden keys throughout the stage. And when we say hidden, they're not like hidden where like, well, I have to go into like this weird like secret room that's crazy out of the way. Hidden as in you may have to diverge from the path a little bit to get to the key. Have to understand this game was made for very young children. So
yeah. Yeah, it's basically like every world is made of, let's say, 7 to 8 rooms in total. So 7 of those will have a key, 1 might not have a key, or some might even have 2 keys, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But it's always the same principle. You have one quote-unquote puzzle that you need to solve to get to the end of the room, and then you have another puzzle to solve in the room to get access to either ice cream or a key. So it's basically set up like that.
Yeah, and then if you don't collect the 7 keys, you can finish the stage, but you won't complete the stage. Your friend will still be in a sleep state. So in order to complete the stage, you have to collect the 7 keys to open the seed chest to rid the curse around the house.
Yep.
As you progress through the stages as well, too, there are little mini games that you can play as well. I believe it's just dominantly. There's 2 bonus games. One of them is a slots game. I don't think I ever got the second one.
Yeah, I can't even remember now what the second one is actually.
I don't think I ever got the second one. I always got the slots machine.
Yeah, now I can't remember actually. That's weird, but like I think no, there's like, is it question marks that you can find? It's another collectible. It looks like a collectible, and if you get it, you either go into like a little bonus room where you can collect ice cream, or
Oh yeah.
Yeah, now I don't remember actually. That's weird. Because
no, that's what it was. Yeah, you had a little maze to get the ice cream.
Yeah,
because you can run with Pokonyan if you hold the B button. which is your attack. If you hold down the B button, you can run. And if you don't run through those mazes to get the ice cream, you actually can't collect all of the ice cream at all. So yeah, there's a bonus game for mazes that when we say mazes, we mean like drop down to the left, drop down to the right, cross the finish line type deal.
Very simple, yeah.
They're nothing crazy by any means. So yeah, you had like a maze bonus game to collect ice cream cones, and you had a slot machine.
Yeah, and both are just to get extra lives, basically. Yep. That's all there's to it.
Yeah, and then the game the game progresses really interesting too, because you can kind of go in a level order, right? You can kind of go in, well, this house is next, this house is next, this house is next. Or if you really want to be real crazy, you can start from the quote-unquote end and work your way back to the beginning. Because since it's an overworld type game, and you get to pick what level you want to go into, you can take Pokonyan to any of the cabins in whatever order you seem fit. For the simplicity of this episode, we're just gonna go whatever houses came next in line, just to keep it simple. But just know that you can pick any level in any order that you want. So the progression in this game is kind of interesting, because like the first 3 houses, I would say, or the first 3 dreams you go into, they're really easy, and they actually seem shorter than the later ones. And the biggest reason that the later ones seem so long is just because, like, there's a bit more to them. Like, there's a bit more complexity to them. Like, you may have to take out a couple of extra enemies to, like, combo into getting up to a higher platform, or to combo to get a key, or whatever it may be. They all have the same amount of screen segments to the finish. It's just that each screen may take a little longer because the complexity and difficulty is starting to raise up. So if you wanted to start with the hard levels first and then finish with the easy levels, you can do that. Or if you wanted to start with the easy and end with the hard, you can also do that as well. So the game is very flexible in terms of that.
And also take hard with a grain of salt, of course, because it is not hard at all. Like, this is one of the easiest puzzle platformers for sure. Hard means basically like you have to combine things to progress the way you want to. But like, it's still very simplistic. You can't do that much different things throughout the worlds. It's not like there's always gonna be new types of enemies with new types of abilities or items they will spawn into. No, it's just always the same things that do the exact same thing for you, so you can learn how to use them correctly. The setup, how to use them, just gets a little bit more complicated. That's what's really going on there. If you do not collect all the keys in a stage, don't worry. Yes, you can enter the stage again for sure, but you do not have to collect all 7 keys again. The game is clever enough that it actually just remembers how many keys you got. So you can just find that one you missed because you weren't looking in a corner there or something like that, and just pick that one up and then just finish the stage again. So I thought that was really cool that they actually did that.
Yeah, it's super, super nice. Like, obviously, it's not going to tell you, like, what screen segment that your missing key is from. So, like, you're still going to have to do some detective work to figure out where it was. But you can know at least, like, hey, I'm missing 1 key, you know. So, you just start looking out for that 1 key, or you're only missing 2 keys. But, yeah, you get to keep all of your keys upon leaving that stage if you didn't collect them all. Like, again, going back to the quote-unquote harder stages, and with harder, it's like you maybe have to turn an enemy into an object and push it off a ledge, and then take it somewhere else. Like, it's just not right there like they were in the earlier stages. Like most said, this is probably one of the easier puzzle platformer games you'll play, at least for the Game Boy. So yeah,
there also is, of course, the one-hit death in this game. Yes. At least you start with one hit. But there are these flowers throughout the stage that you can also like dust with your magic pixie dust. I made a sentence again. God, I'm tired. So there are some flowers throughout the stage, and you can use your magic dust to make them bloom, which gives you an extra hit, and I think up to 3 hits.
Yep.
In total. You'll probably be good for the rest of the game, really. I don't think there's one-hit kills, unless the spikes were, but I don't think so. But yeah, there's plenty of those flowers around to get you back in shape, at least. And if you are collecting all those ice creams you come across, just because you're having fun with this game, because it is really fun game, you should have enough lives anyways to get yourself through the stage. And if you happen to die in a screen, you just get put back in that screen where you were.
Yeah. There is one small frustration, I would say, with the dust, is once you've dusted an enemy, it turns into an object. If you dust that object, the enemy gets killed. But it does respawn, but it does get killed. The dust has a weird hitbox to it. So if you dust something and transform it, and if you move away, you may think you're far enough away to get the next enemy that's coming, or whatever it may be, and you dust, and you'll magically somehow hit the object and break it. Or sometimes if you're too close to the enemy, I've had this happen in my playthrough, where you dust, the dust went beyond the enemy's hitbox, and the enemy ended up hitting me. So, the pixie dust is probably one of my bigger frustrations with the game, simply because like the hitbox around it and the distance like detection is a little weird with it. So just take that for what it is, because there are times where like you're gonna have two enemies coming at you, and your instinct is going to want to mash that B button. But if you mash the B button, you're gonna destroy the enemy that's in front of the other enemy, and the other enemy is going to hit you. So you have to kind of like strategically understand like how this game kind of operates with the objects.
Yep.
That was honestly one of the bigger flaws that I found in the game, which is pretty impressive for me, because I usually try and complain about every game that I play. So yeah, let's dive into. Well, we can't. We're not going to deep dive into this one, because if we did, this would be like a 4-hour episode. And legs got mad. All right, she didn't like the 3-hour episodes we've been doing, so we're gonna try and give her some break here. So I'm sure it's gonna go over like the dream worlds and like the quote unquote theme of each one, if I could translate it with my phone. So the first dream world, you're gonna encounter, the first house is Atari Sakura's dream, which is interesting because in the anime, I believe she has blue hair, but in the game, they gave her red hair. I don't think they watched the anime. Google Translate couldn't figure out what the theme of this world was, but the background has trains and cards. So I don't know what that means.
Yeah, who knows?
Google apparently doesn't. The next one is Miki's dad, Shigeru Konoha. Again, don't know what his dream translated to either.
Yeah, I was trying to set up this list as well, and I was like, oh yeah, the first one is kind of like a plane, not a flying plane, just the planes, like outside. And then I went into the second one, and this actually looks the same. So I couldn't really distinguish anything between them after a while, so I gave up, basically.
And then the next stage, World 3, we'll call it, This is actually not their name. This is just what Google gave me. They gave me
Hmm.
Kochan, which I know is not their name, but I don't know their name because if you actually look up the character list for this anime, good luck. It only tells you the 3 main characters.
Yeah.
So, good luck. But this one translated to toy dream. So all like the theme of the dream was toys, which is great. Which is actually ties into that character very well because that character is actually the youngest of all of the friends and all of the characters that interact with Pokonyan. So that one actually fits in quite well.
Yeah.
World 4 is Kikunosuke Hanada's dream, and Kiku no yep.
Kikunosuke.
There you go. Is a bit of a chubbier kid of the anime, so his dream is food based in the game. So they actually tied the dream to the character actually quite well. They just miscolored the characters in the screens.
Right.
Miki's mom, Midori Konoha's dream is a forest dream, which is an interesting dream to have for her because that is a throwback to the first episode of the anime, which I thought was actually super, super cool. The next dream was Shusaku Hinoki's dream, which I couldn't figure out. Google couldn't figure out how to translate that one. And then World 7 was Noboru Kusunoki's dream, and that one translates to the fish sky theme, which is fitting because if you play through that world, there's a bunch of whales and dolphins in the sky.
Right.
So that one fits pretty well in that one. And then in order to unlock World 8, so like we said, so you have to collect these 7 you have to collect these 7 keys to complete each stage to plant the seed to get rid of the curse. Upon finishing the 7 stages, you get an 8th stage. You get an 8th dream world where Miki herself is now rendered, or now has a sleep curse, and you now have to go through Miki's dream to wake her up. And it's the same thing as you play the previous 7 worlds. But something else interesting too with the overworld is that as you travel through the overworld, which mind you, the overworld is small. Like we're not talking like Roland's Cursed overworld or like Ultima. Think of like Mario 3 if it didn't have the paths to follow.
Yep. Exactly.
So as you travel through this overworld, you'll notice that every house has this Z come out of them except for one, which is at the very top. That is Miki's house, and Miki is, well, awake because she's guiding you with all the, through all these dreams. And at the very end, Miki gets put to sleep. And then you have to go to her. You don't even have to travel to her house. The game automatically puts you there, and you just play through that stage.
Yeah, that one is the most resembling of like a forest, really. I want to say. Yeah. I mean that one really looks like a forest or almost a jungle, but not really. But there are gators there, I think. But yeah, that one feels the most tied up to her. Probably when she met Pokonyan or Rocky, going back to the origin of the actual anime.
Yeah. And then once you've woken Miki up, you get a little cutscene type deal, a Game Boy style cutscene, obviously, where all of her friends and parents and everyone is just, hey, what happened? Oh my god, this was weird, and thank you for curing the sleep curse and things of that nature. And then it rolls credits, basically. So that's the game in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It doesn't sound like a lot. but it's actually a pretty long game.
It is a long game, yeah. It surprised me how long it was, because like I remember talking to Mo about this when I was watching Mo stream this. I was like, oh, this would be an interesting speed run, and then he was just like, well, I think you have to collect these keys, and it's like, no. So like I was blown through these stages just off stream while Mo was playing. And yeah, no, you have to collect the 7 keys.
Yeah, yeah. The game does not. It doesn't give you like a bad ending or something.
No,
it just
doesn't
keeps
end.
going.
Yeah, it just doesn't end at all. So, yeah, no, I think like the game. I think the game took me like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to play, which is like for a very kiddie game like this, like it's long.
Yeah, for me it took a little bit longer due to the fact that it soft locked on me twice.
Yeah.
Which probably has nothing to do with the actual game. As far as I can tell, it was tied to like my Super Game Boy or something, like with a save function or what I was I using the save function, or did I use the save function to prevent it?
I think you use save states to, I think, prevent. Well, you use save states.
You have to prevent the soft
You were
launch,
ending stream, and you're like, I'm just going to save state. We can pick it up again tomorrow, because there's no passwords. There's no continuing in this game at all.
That's
so you did a save state, and then it soft locked on you. So then you did like a safety save state after a while.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not tied to the game itself. It's just an EverDrive issue that I had, but I had to like restart 2 times, which I didn't mind at all because I was absolutely loving this game while playing it. So
yeah, I didn't have any locking issues at all. Like I said, the biggest frustration I had with the game was how the dust could screw you over at times. Like that was my biggest frustration, and even then, like it wasn't that big of a deal. So, almost a near perfect game. Almost. I think I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah. Again, I don't do ratings, so yeah, I just really think this is a super game because immediately after I finished it, I was like, let's do an episode on this. This is really cool.
Yeah, I think I played it literally after you played it because I was like, wow, that game actually looks fun. So that's when I played it. Yeah, highly recommend playing this game. Cover art. So the cover art for this is actually really funny. The cover art is a screenshot from the anime. But there's something interesting about this one because a lot of times the cover art is the same for the label on the cartridge, but not in this case. The cartridge has a different label art than the actual box art. So we'll start with the box art first. And like I said, it's a direct screenshot from the anime. It's Pokonyan front and center, looking back at Miki, and above says Pokonyan with the tanuki tail and the eyes at the very end of it. Very colorful, very anime cover art. Something else to understand with this too is that during especially the early and mid 90s, tanuki was very popular in Japanese culture. Cue Mario 3. It was a very popular thing, so there's no coincidence that Pokonyan Rocky Racket is a tanuki. So
yeah, he's a cross between a tanuki and a cat, and that's why they named him Rocky Racat in the other versions. And for people who don't know what a tanuki is, it's not an actual raccoon. It's more of like a mythical creature with one very distinguishable thing about them that I'm not gonna comment on. But they're like magical creatures, but they do kind of look like raccoons. So that's where the thing with the raccoon and cat, so it's a racat. For people who didn't know why we were saying racat the entire time.
Yeah, it's a subspecies it's a subspecies. It's a Japanese raccoon dog is what a tanuki is. It's a subspecies, but it's significantly used in Japanese folklore since the dawn of time, basically.
Yep, and everybody knows it in Western culture as well.
Yeah, and then the cartridge label is, I kind of wish the hearts were ice cream because it would make the label match the game a bit more. But the cartridge label has a background print, a heart print that is kind of like a mint green, and it has like a very pale yellow in the background of it as well. And then in the foreground, the front, it just says it's the Pokonyan logo with the tanuki tail and the eyes, and it says Toho Co Limited underneath of it in big bold blue text. So
yeah, the cartridge isn't special or anything.
No,
like this wouldn't, unless you can read it and you know Japanese, like then you would know what this card was. Otherwise, you would have no idea what this would be. No. But then again, looking at the box art, you wouldn't be able to tell what kind of game it is either, unless you like know the anime or the series. Like, we didn't get this, but in Europe, this would definitely not have been the box art for sure. Just a still or something, but. If you would see this in the store as a, like, I guess young adult, you would probably just ignore this because it looks way too kiddie to pick up. Even though I like it, I like the style of this anime. I think it's very cool. It's like a little bit more Western than usual. But yeah, it definitely looks like a kids show, and you would avoid that because then you're not cool as a teen. So yeah.
And if this came out in America, like I can tell you now, like we wouldn't have had that cover either. It probably would have said like Pokonyan's Big Adventure or something, and just had like Pokonyan carrying a machine gun with a machete like next to him. With just like going down some like dark graffitied alley. That's probably what the Americans.
So the cover of Reservoir Rat.
Yeah, kinda, yeah.
But then with a raccoon.
But no, like the American one would have been like Pokonyan, and then it would have had like Pokonyan's like face, like kind of probably right below that, like big front and center. Then it would have had like a log cabin in the background with like Miki like barely like recognizable, like sitting on the porch or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like it would have been something along those lines, probably. Yeah. It wouldn't have been this.
Yeah, I think the European one would be similar to the Mr. Nuts cover art, where like Mr. Nuts, or in this case Pokonyan, would be like right in the center, looking directly towards you with a less kid-like looking background, so it looked a little bit more exciting. Like Europe does like to keep the cuteness in everything, but it would have been a little bit more serious than this. Yeah. And for people who are wondering, like Miki basically looks like, at least in this still, looks like a very, very young Bulma from Dragon Ball.
Yeah, she looks that way in the anime as well, too.
Yeah.
Very, very, like, we're talking, like, 6-year-old Bulma.
Yeah, spot on, basically. Yeah.
Trivia. Oh, you got some trivia here. Look at you.
I got some trivia because, I was trying to look up information about this, but again, we don't have access to Japanese, like, websites and things like that, so we just have to make do with what we can find. But I did find that there's also a Super Nintendo game, and I think those are the only two Pokonyan games that ever got made. But that one is called Pokonyan and Pokorin Adventure, and I looked at the thing a little bit. And it looks like a very standard platformer where you can actually do jump on enemies and kill them with like a tail whip in this case. But Pokonyan in this one does transform into other animals through like to reverse certain objects and things like that. And for people who want to check it out or play it themselves, it looks like it's only like a 40-minute game, which is really short for a Super Nintendo game. It also looks super easy, so it's definitely made for children. But definitely take a closer look to the owl transformation when it's flying, because it has a very interesting sprite that ties back to the Tanuki. So definitely check that out. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like a cool game, at least.
It looks good. Even graphically, it looks like a nice game on the Super Nintendo. Yeah. So I may want to check that out eventually.
Yeah.
So reception of the game is this game didn't sell well at all. The Game Boy game didn't sell well, mostly because it had a small print run. This game was aimed very exclusively at young children. And again, when this game was released, Toho went out of business shortly after, and this game only was released in Japan. So a game that didn't sell well, had a small print, that was aimed towards young children from a company that went out of business shortly thereafter. You can expect that game is hard to come by at this point. Mm-hmm. I think I've only ever found one copy, and it was like $60 loose for the cart. So it's one of those games. Like I mentioned earlier, development was in progress for this game in 1993, as we found in the memory string from Funari. Like Funari was actually the original developers of this game with the original copyright. I'm assuming either Funari went out of business or they were a subsidiary of Toho, and Toho just was like, you know what? Now you're just a part of us. And now it just went under the Toho name. Because Funari only had 2 games under its belt. This one and some other Japanese game, I forgot what it was called. Again, the animes, there were 170 episodes, 10 minutes per, and I think there were only 2 volumes of the manga as well too. So there you go. That's everything you need to know about Pokonyan for the Game Boy.
Yeah, unless there is more that we just can't find, but.
Oh yeah, unless there's more that we can't find, A or B. Like we said, we don't know Japanese, so there could be more, not more to the game, but like the actual story, the plot, the levels, whatever, that we just can't read, like what they actually are saying. So like I said, I relied heavily on my Google Lens translator, and Google translating kanji isn't the greatest. So yeah. Gotta work with what you get.
Yeah, we did pretty good.
I would say we did phenomenal, especially since there is near zero information about this game online.
Yeah, or about Pokonyan in general for some reason. Like, usually when you look up an anime, you get like tons of information, but literally if you go to the Pokonyan wiki page, it's nothing. There is nothing. There's 2 lines.
Yeah, there's 2 sentences, and it tells you about 3 of like the 9 characters in the game.
Yeah,
or the show.
But yeah, it does say the article may be expanded with text translated from the corresponding article in Japanese. But yeah, if you click that, there is a lot, but I can't read anything from it. So, but yeah, it has the episode list and things like that. It has a lot more.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna take another short break, and when we come back, Mo and I will give you some of our more of our initial thoughts on the game, and the non-existent speedrun section of this game. So stay tuned. Alright, welcome back everybody. So, let's start with you, Mo. Thoughts, history with the game? Like you said earlier that it didn't come out in, at least you don't remember it coming out in Europe in a way when you were a kid, so.
No. Yeah, usually I recognize, like, characters, but this one does not feel familiar at all, so I really doubt it. So yeah, with that, I definitely have no history with the game neither. I didn't play it before. I played it for portable pleasure. So it was still on my list at least, because I don't do all Japanese games, only the ones that I know are beatable. So I must have checked it out for sure, and kept it on my list while I was purging it. Then going into it, I thought I was playing just a normal platformer. So like I mentioned, I immediately went to the enemy, tried jumping on him, tried killing him, and it didn't work. And it felt kind of janky starting out. I don't know why, like it didn't feel as smooth as it should have been, until I realized it was a puzzle platformer that I wasn't supposed to like rush through the levels and things like that. And yeah, just immediately from the first stage onwards, when I knew what they expected for me to do in this game, I just fell in love with it, because it was a very interesting concept, at least not something I had played on Game Boy before. Yeah, it was very simple, because again, I'm not good at puzzle games or anything, but yeah, luckily this was made for kids, so that's something my brain can handle. Yeah, it was just a lot of fun, and great music to go with the game, and yeah, I just really liked just playing through it. And again, it took me like 3 hours or something, or maybe a little more, because I had to redo a bunch of stuff, but yeah, it was just very pleasant to play, very relaxing to play as well. Yeah, that's kind of about it, really.
Yeah, we really didn't touch. We didn't touch really at all on the OST of this game at all. Like the actual music for this game is quite good. Like looking at the cover, looking at the game, then looking at the initial game, if you don't know what you're getting into, like you wouldn't expect much from this. But like gameplay is phenomenal, but like the OST like is shockingly good for this game. So
yeah, they definitely put a lot of effort into making this game happen. And yeah, sadly, it is super obscure. I don't think a lot of people know it, just because it did have such a limited print.
Yeah, I mean, you and I don't have this game at all in our collection. So,
no, and I have a lot of Japanese ones. So
yeah, I've only ever found this game loose once on eBay, and that was when you were playing the game.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't have any history with this at all either. I didn't even know Pokonyan existed until I was watching you play it for portable pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked cute, but my first initial thoughts of it was kind of meh, because like I tuned in when you were first playing the game, because we both had the same idea, I think, going into it. Because like when you went into the stage, I saw a platformer. I'm like, oh, you just jump on the enemies and keep running forward, like Mario game basically. So yeah, I didn't have a lot of just like opinion about it. I was just kind of like, great, another platformer for the Game Boy type deal. And then we got into the debate on whether the game could be completed with or without collecting the keys. That's when I turned the game on while watching you play it, to see if the game could actually be completed without getting all of the keys. Which you gotta collect them all. And then during that process as well too, because like you and I couldn't figure out what the hell this game was about, right? Like we can't read Japanese, so we're just like, what's the story of this game? Like what's going on? Like why are all these kids asleep? So that's when I pulled out the Google Lens and was translating some of the cutscenes and everything else too. And the broken translations I would feed to Mo, and essentially feed into this episode as well too. So but yeah, no, it actually, the game pulled me by surprise. Like I didn't expect it to be fun. Like even watching you play it, like I was like, oh, this game looks fun, but I didn't expect to have fun playing this game, especially something like this. It's one of those like, oh, that looks fun, I'll give it a try sometime, and then you're just like, oh wow, this is actually fun. Like this is more fun than it actually looked like it was watching it. So I can't recommend this game enough, honestly. It's the perfect type of simplicity, and again, the transformation of enemies with that dust to progress through stages and whatnot, and to figure out puzzles, I think is super, super interesting to have in a Game Boy game. So
yeah, it's a very unique one. Not at first glance, totally not, but yeah, everything just came together perfectly while playing this game. And everybody should check it out themselves. Maybe you won't like it after all we've been saying, but I think it's just definitely a hidden gem. And I hope more people check it out after listening to this episode.
Yeah, I think it's a definite hidden gem. Even like the pixel work in it is very well done, especially for a 1994 game. Going through two different developers, this is probably one of Toho's final games they released at that point as well too. I mean, for what it's worth, like the game is quite good. In even the backgrounds, like everything is very well thought out, very well detailed as well too. But it's still very much catered to kids. So like if you see a plane in the background, it's not going to be like B-52 detailed by any means. It's going to be a propeller toy-like plane, right? It's catered to children. But the scenery does look good and feel good, and the music with it is phenomenal. So yeah, small speed run section. This game doesn't have any speed runs.
Nope.
So if you're wanting an easy world record.
Unless it's hidden somewhere on Japanese YouTube or whichever like video service they use. But I didn't find anything. I saw a few people attempt to play this game, but like nobody finished it or anything.
So there it is, Poco Neon. My Poco Neon playthrough. It took me a lot longer than 1.5 hours apparently. my Poco Neon playthrough took me 2.5 hours. That was without softlocks.
Yeah, I can look it up. Yeah.
It's a longer game. I even gave it a hidden gem badge too in my spreadsheet.
Nice. Yeah, for me it was 4 hours and 16 minutes. But yeah, again, I had to replay basically half the game twice or something like that. So
yeah. So took me about 2.5 hours. I would say semi-blind because, like I said, like I watched Mo play. I watched him play the entire game. So I went into the game semi-blind, and it still took me 2.5 hours. So if you're looking for a long Game Boy speedrun, there you will go. There are speed strats though. Mo and I have found some.
Yeah, if they're gonna help, I don't know, but
yeah, I don't know. There are there's strats in a way. We don't know. We're not speedrunners. Just pretend to be. So yeah. With that, we're gonna take another quick short break, small segment for y'all, bite-sized segment. When we come back, we'll talk about community events upcoming since we are a bit into marathon season, and then obviously the amazing outro that we all do. So stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. So community events. So I listened to the Battletoads episode. All right, I was curious what they were gonna talk about with that game. I was curious how much back talk I was gonna get in that episode. But man, when Mo got to the community events section of the Battletoads episode, whew, made me realize, I'm like, alright, if I'm ever out of a main episode again, do the community events for them. Because it was I heard you struggling.
I don't even remember what I said. So
I don't either, but I just remember you struggling. You're like, this is the part where EBC talks. I don't know what things are coming up. So, community events coming up that are Game Boy related. Because I think this episode is supposed to go live when, the 12th? 19th?
Yes. For us next weekend, yes.
Yeah. So with this episode going up on the weekend of the 12th or even the weekend of the 19th, we have I'm Sorry, Game Boy Advance Sprint by Retro Gaming Live TV on June 19th. So our friends over at RGL have put together a Game Boy Advance Sprint, which I think is 3 or 5 games. I can't remember how many it was now.
I thought it was 6, maybe.
Is it 6? It's Game Boy Advance, so I really don't follow Game Boy Advance stuff all that much.
Trying to find the games list, but I can't at the moment. Yeah.
I have it right here. As community events person, there's 5. So the 5 Game Boy Advance games is Kuroruen, Ninja 5-0, Mario Kart Super Circuit, all Nitro Cups, Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. You couldn't have picked a worse Kirby game. And Mega Man 03. Oh man, Kirby and the Amazing Mirror is such a terrible. Here come the comments. How dare you talk bad about a Kirby? It's bad, okay? Don't at me.
Yeah, it's one of my least favorite as well. Not because of the gameplay, because I think that's fine, but I get so confused about the doors in that game. It's incredible.
The gameplay is fine.
Yeah, I remember the very first time I played Kirby the Amazing Mirror, and it took me 3 hours to just get to another section because I kept going back into the haunted mansion or whatever it's called at the start, and I kept having to fight over the golem Wispy Woods knockoff thing over and over again, and I didn't understand how to progress at all.
Like the gameplay of Kirby's Amazing Mirror is fine, right? Because it very closely mimics Nightmare in Dreamland.
Yep.
Right, and Nightmare in Dreamland, even though it is a remake or a rehash of the first game, or I guess second game, the NES game, it utilizes like some of the same physics, same ability, power-ups, etc., etc. But the issue comes when you have to choose a mirror to go through. It's like, I'm going to take this mirror. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, I've already been to this room before. Cool.
Yep.
Like, let me take this mirror. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, I've already been to this room. Oh, now I'm on the other side of the map. Like, it's such a bullshit game.
Yeah, I get the idea about behind it. It was basically a bigger version of the Great Cave Offensive that was on Superstar, which I really liked because you had to explore, you had to find all the treasure, and everything was quote unquote connected, and they just made that into a bigger game. But this one is so confusing and so infuriating because sometimes you need like a special ability to get to the door you need to be, but that special ability is like completely somewhere else, not even close to where you need it, and it gets too confusing. That's all I can say about the Amazing Mirror.
It's a trash game, is what it is.
Yeah,
one of the worst Kirby games. You want to know what the worst one is, listeners? Kirby's Pinball.
I know what you're gonna say.
Kirby's Pinball.
No. I wasn't even expecting
because that game doesn't even exist in my mind.
No, I thought you were gonna say Star Allies. Actually.
Yeah, Star Allies. If we're gonna talk actual canon Kirby games, Star Allies is just the biggest dumpster fire I've ever played in my life.
Yeah, I don't agree with that, but.
And here come the comment, well, Star Allies was really good. You only, you got all these copy abilities. Yeah, you get 4 copy abilities that you can turn into ice or fire. Real cool.
Yeah, no, for me, the worst Kirby platformer, I guess, would be Dreamland 3. I just do not like that game at all. I think it looks super cute, but I hate playing every second of it.
Dreamland 3 is really boring. Yeah, graphically, aesthetically, adorable, and amazing art style, in my opinion. I wish more games adapted that in the Super Nintendo era. Gameplay, boring.
Yeah,
really boring. As a speedrunner of that game, former speedrunner of that game, boring. I even don't like KDL 2 that much, honestly.
No, I do like that.
I like Kirby's Adventure a lot, but there's something about KDL 2 I'm just not super into. But it's not a bad game by any means. Like it's definitely a good game. It's just it's not my jam. If I want to play something that has like a world thing like that, I think I lean more towards Kirby's Adventure. But Star Allies, in my opinion, was just a hot dumpster fire. It shouldn't even be called a game because like the camp. It took me 7 hours to 100% the game.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty normal for Kirby, but
trash game.
But yeah, it could have been better at least for Switch. It's definitely not my favorite.
It's a Switch game. Yeah. Like it came out for the Switch. Like put some effort in there, Sakurai. God damn it. Quit paying attention to your stupid Smash Brothers and put some effort into a Kirby game.
Maybe the next one.
Here comes the Smash community. Oh, but the Smash community, we have Kirby as shut up. Just
Kirby's the best character in Smash anyway, so don't at me. But yeah, looking at the other games in the GBA Sprint, Mario Kart Super Circuit is the only Mario Kart game I like. I'm sorry, Mario Kart community. We're pissing off every community.
We're making everyone mad right now.
But yeah, I don't like Mario Kart except for the GBA version. I think that's a really good one.
I've never played Super Circuit.
Yeah, I think that was just a really good one. Kuru Kuru Kururin is the weird thing where you are literally a rod and you turn around to the left and the right and have to avoid things. It's cool. It's not my type of game, but it's a really cool one at least. I've never played Ninja 5 I know it's regarded as like one of the top 10 games on GBA. It looks fun, at least. But I've never played it myself. And Mega Man Zero 3 is probably the best one they could have picked out of all four of them, because 4 is too easy and 1 and 2 are way too hard. So, yeah, Zero 3 is probably the best bet there.
I don't know, man. They don't have Densetsu no Starfy in there. That is, in my opinion, the best Game Boy Advance game in the world.
I'm not very familiar with the library. No. Thanks to Gilgatex and Some Girl, I know more games now, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely no expert in the GBA library. I actually actively avoid it. But the legendary Starfy, like Densetsu no Starfy, if you're ever going to play one Game Boy game or Game Boy Advance game in your life, make it be Densetsu no Starfy. It is a phenomenal game from Tosei. Phenomenal. Right. It's adorable too. Okay, well that's enough about Game Boy Advance. That's more spotlight than that stupid console even deserves. Man, we're selling that marathon good.
Yeah.
So yeah, Game Boy Advance Sprint from Retro Gaming Live TV, June 19th. Summer games done quick. July 4th to July 11th.
Yeah.
There is a Game Boy
Mega
game.
Man 2.
There is a Game Boy game. One Game Boy game. One. And it's God. What a disaster. Like, oh my God, what an absolute disaster.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard I heard your episode this morning, because that one just came out your light, so you talked about it. So I guess I'll say my thoughts about this. Looking at the submissions that SGDQ had when it comes to Game Boy, they had a lot of them, and they had a great selection of them. Like, for once, I felt like the submissions weren't. They weren't done as a joke. They weren't done as like, look at this dumb Game Boy game, let's make fun of it. They actually had really, really good submissions, and they could have made a perfectly fine Game Boy block that would have only lasted 2 hours, but at least people would have been able to show off decent or even great Game Boy games. They just completely obliterated all of them, and they picked, yes, a very interesting speedrun for Game Boy. Because it really is. It's a really cool speedrun, and it's really cool to see.
It's cool,
but again, you picked one game to show off Game Boy, and it's one of...
It's arguably the worst Mega Man of the series.
Absolutely, and again, speedrun-wise, very interesting to see, but again, you are showing a game that is making the entire library look absolutely bad, and I can't believe they keep doing this. I just can't believe it. Like, it's not even part of a Mega Man block or anything, it's just... one time there's a race of Mega Man 2, and runners, good luck. Like, I am gonna watch it because I really like watching the runs of that, but why do you keep doing this, GDQ? Why?
Like, here's the thing, like, there is a bonus game, or backup game, sorry. There is a backup game of Cosmo Tank, which is great, cool, but like, here's just a snippet of the pool for Game Boy games they have pulled from. Dr. Wily's Revenge, Mega Man 4, Mega Man 5, Mega Man 1 through 5, which I knew wouldn't get in because no one wants to watch Game Boy for 3 hours. Mousetrap Hotel. That's a game you just don't see played often at all.
Well, it is not good either, but
It's not,
yeah.
but it's a game you don't see often. Gremlins
Mm-hmm.
2 for the Game Boy. Again, not a super good game for the Game
Great
Boy,
speed run. Yeah.
but a game you don't see often at all. Bill and Ted's Excellent Game Boy Adventure, A Bogus Journey. Again, another game you don't see often at all. And there's plenty more that they had to pull from as well too. But the fact that they even denied Kirby's Dream Land from Swordsman Kirby, Chavo 55, Kirby's Dream Land 2. But Mega Man 2 for the Game Boy.
Yeah, that's the one they picked.
Oh my god. Just there were more Game Boy submissions this SGDQ than I can ever recall from previous GDQ submissions. And they still choose just the absolute biggest dumpster fire of a game you can sorry, KLM and Kaiser. Good luck, runners, but I'm just mad that they chose Mega Man 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't happy when I saw the list either.
I think I'm more mad that they only chose one Game Boy game. I think that's the only reason I'm mad that it's Mega Man 2. If they had Mega Man 2, Mousetrap Hotel, Bill and Ted, and whatever else, if they had 4 games, I sort of been well, that's still kind of a bummer because these games are kind of even though they're not showcased very much. But I probably would have been a lot more. I would have been a lot better with their accepting of a game. But the fact that it's just Mega Man 2, when there was a big pool of Game Boy games to pull from that were pretty heavy hitters, I don't know.
Yeah, it's very, very weird. Am I surprised? No. Sadly, I am not surprised, but it's just a weird decision to make.
I mean, they declined Shaq Fu for the Game Boy for the 5th time, so I mean, we can't expect much. I will submit Shaq Fu to a Kitsen. I'm pretty sure I'm shadow banned from GDQ, but I'm still gonna keep submitting. Alright, next event.
Yep.
So now we've pooped on 2 of the events coming up. Game Goyle. So this is a brand new marathon by Slashfinity, whom, if you don't know the name, him and I and Atros did Handheld Heroes together for a few years. He is starting a brand new speedrunning marathon starting July 23rd to July 25th, benefiting trans students' educational resources. And submissions are open through January, Jesus.
Wow.
June 13th. So
the day after this, depending on when it gets released.
Yeah. But if you go to gamegoyles.org, which is their website, you can actually follow all of their social media. So you can actually follow their Twitter, go into their Discord, their YouTube, Twitch, everything else. So you can actually follow along with the marathon for this. I submitted, of course, Shaq Fu. I submitted Shaq Fu and The Little Mermaid, which is a game I don't typically speedrun. So a little bit out of my comfort zone for that one. But Shaq Fu and Little Mermaid I submitted.
Yeah, and I submitted Darkwing Duck because it's still in my muscles, I guess, right now. So
muscle memory.
Might as well keep it in some marathons.
Yeah. Oh, and then ESA Summer is coming up as well too. We'll talk about that one. I forgot to add that one into the notes. But ESA Marathon, European Speedrunner Assembly, for those of you that don't follow speedrunning stuff very often. ESA Summer is happening July 24th through July 31st. I don't know if that's an in-person event or no. Oh, no, right here. Will be an online marathon during the last week of July, raising money for Save the Children. Schedule will be released June 27th, and prize submissions, if you're into that thing, is May 16th through June 30th. You can check out all that info on esamarathon.com. I'm assuming there's going to be a schedule. Yeah, scheduled June 27th. I already said that. So yeah, at the end of the month, there'll be a schedule out for ESA. Typically, I mean, even though ESA typically has a ton of PC games, I feel like ESA actually has a decent amount of Game Boy games sometimes too. Just it kind of depends on the submissions, especially with it being online. They typically, I feel like they'll get a little bit more with it being online. Simply because like I've kind of heard that it's just expensive. At least even in being a European, it's expensive to go to ESA because of Sweden. So
yeah, when it comes to food and beverages, like Sweden is really, really expensive.
But yeah, so that's the 4 big marathons coming up. There's always smaller marathons that are happening in between all of these that just don't get a lot of light shined onto them. So a lot of times I miss them just because they're just not in my peripherals. If you want to follow them, like the speedrunning community has a Discord that has some stuff in there you can go check out. Otherwise, there's a bunch of like marathon schedulers out there online, like the Horaro or whatever the heck it's called. And there's a new one now that starts with an O. Go check them out. There's a bunch of scheduling up there. Go see what's up there. Check them out on Twitch and YouTube. See if they interest you. And maybe find something cool. Maybe find some new games. Maybe find some new streamers to follow. Yeah. With that, questions from Discord.
Yeah, we only have one question from Juke Ariel, who asked, "What the heck is this?" So we hope we have informed you about what Pokonyan is by now. And otherwise check out the game yourself. I think Ariel might actually really enjoy this game himself, to be honest. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Then we were just discussing that we couldn't find the music, but then we did, but they put a space between Poco and Jan, and that's why we couldn't find
I don't know where in the world Ariel is, but there is a Portuguese version of this anime.
Spain, I believe. Yeah, Spain.
So if you know Portuguese, you can watch the Portuguese version of this anime.
Yeah, but that is totally not Spanish, so
it's not. That's why I said if you know Portuguese. I know Spanish and Portuguese aren't the same. All right.
Yeah.
I know. All right. I may be American, but so yeah, and they have, from what I've found on YouTube, you can get it dubbed in any language. Just the dubs usually suck.
Yeah.
Outro time. But yeah, Pokonyan's
We made it.
She actually watched the anime. Like I said, the 3 that I watched were actually pretty cool, and the theme is killer. So
yeah, it was okay.
Okay. So yeah, outro. So again, thoughts, suggestions by all of you listening, or if you do watch it on YouTube, watch the loops gameplay and the bumpy lines. We love to hear it. We're always looking for a way to better the episodes, better the YouTube videos, better whatever. We just like hearing from you. So if you even have like, hey, I really liked this episode. Hey, thank you. We like hearing that as well. where can they find us? So you can find me, eBloodyCandy, on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Yeah, just those 5 places that I know of. Where can they find you, Mo?
You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, all under my name, of course, Moelle. But because I can't actually have that one, I have to add a U and an H at the end, so it's actually /MoelleUH. That's it for all of them.
Easy enough for you. Easy enough for me as well, too. Then you can find our fantastic, wonderful producer, SprintingLegs, at SprintingLegs on Twitch and Twitter, Legs on YouTube, and you can follow her side projects and the Game Boy Manual project at SprintingLegs.com. And obviously, the 3 of us are always available in Discord, so feel free to DM us.
Yeah.
Or add us in the Game Boy. This is Game Boy Discord.
Mm-hmm. And that's also basically the easiest place to send in listener questions, because like we always have a thread for or a channel, I guess, for each upcoming episode at least. But there's also a general one you can get into if you just have a general question. So that's definitely a good place to do that. And sometimes we just ask random questions as well, because like I think last week I just asked, hey, what game would you people maybe want to hear an episode about? And then you can let us know what there is.
Everyone chose a AAA title.
Of course, yeah.
Except for Chalvo, that was a good one. But
Chalvo is definitely interesting.
I always forget about Chalvo.
Yeah,
it's
me
a
too,
good
for
game,
some
but I always
reason.
forget about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we have a Patreon. If you like what you're listening to, like what you're seeing on YouTube, if you are using the YouTube side of things, and want to support us monetarily, we do have a Patreon. Once we hit $20 a month, Mo and I will actually start live streaming these big episodes. And then if you are a patron, you do get some side benefits of seeing some behind the scenes things, some podcast outtakes, the podcast notes. Somehow they are organized. Thank you, Mo, for figuring that out. And amongst other things. And if you are going the PayPal route, which, you know, maybe some people aren't all about subs, you know, some people make a sub and they forget about it. I do it all the time on Twitch, so some people just like the one-time thing. If you do PayPal, super appreciate it. Please let one of the 3 of us know, Mo, Legs, or I, so we can thank you for your support in a way, because we can't tie Discord and stuff into PayPal. And obviously, you can support us non-monetarily. We always appreciate reviews. And just you listening to the podcast. Just you listening to the podcast alone helps us boost our rankings in the podcast list, especially for a very niche podcast like Game Boy. And then leaving reviews, you know, just slap the 5 stars and be like, hey, that EBC guy is probably one of the most fascinating people I get to listen to during this podcast. That Mo guy's not too bad either, you know.
Yeah.
Just hit the 5-star thing, and we start to rank up higher in the other podcast things like Apple Podcast and Google Podcast and whatever else that the RSS feed goes out to. We always appreciate any type of support we get from you all.
Yeah. And I guess from now officially, because I don't remember if I actually said it in the Battletoads episode, and I think you just half mentioned it in the light that just came out, the Barbie Game Girl one. Our merch is finally available.
It's live.
So there's a third option to support us now, and then you actually get something physical in return this time. But if you just visit merch.thisisgameboy.com, This is GameBoy.com being our main site, of course, where you can find all the other stuff. But if you just add merch dot in front of it, you will be sent over to our store, where currently you can find 2 items. One being our limited edition t-shirt, which is available in 3 colors, like dark green, I guess, light gray and dark gray, which features the logo you've all been seeing for at least 2 years, because we had another one before that. But yeah, the one that was made by Man Over Mars, and because it's a limited edition, I added a little thing onto it. I tried to replicate Mom's style as good as I could, which was pretty good, but Man Over Mars finalized it, so it's completely made by him, basically. So it's a little add-on to our normal logo. It doesn't show anything like our website or anything like that, or hey, go visit blah blah blah. No, it's just a logo with a new addition to it. So if you would like a t-shirt, you can get that, and you can also find our a mug, which has the normal logo on it. That item will be available forever. The t-shirt will only be available, because it is limited edition, until the end of July. And from August onwards, you will just be able to get the normal logo t-shirt, basically.
Gotta collect them all, so... maybe we'll have other limited edition t-shirts coming out. You gotta collect them all then.
Yeah, true.
And again, you can find all of this information, all of it, every single piece that we just said, if you go to thisisgameboy.com.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Type it away, hit enter, click, done.
Yeah, or bookmark it, then it's there forever.
Just set it up as your startup page on Chrome or Firefox.
Or that, yeah.
Yeah.
Very easy to do so.
So yeah, with that, the next time you hear from Mo and I, we're actually going to talk about the last 3 years of this podcast. Some good, maybe a little bit of bad. Probably be some bad, because you and I are pretty complainy. And obviously, the future of This Is Game Boy. So, and
yeah.
what we hope to obtain. Goals.
We're definitely not done yet. So.
Definitely ain't done yet.
Yeah. We're just gonna take a break from actually reviewing an episode and just complain for 2 hours.
Yeah. There's over 1,000 games in the Game Boy library. All right, we're only on episode 38. So
yeah, I got a good while to go before we're done.
Oh boy, we're not gonna make it at this rate.
Nope.
We're gonna have to have kids that take it over for us.
Yeah.
Oh boy, now we gotta make the This Is Game Boy dating app. Oh boy. So yeah, until next time, thank you all for listening, and see you later.
Later, man.
Alright, Legs, gonna need you to make a This Is Game Boy dating app now.
Yeah, just for me and you.
Yeah, just for Mo and I.
No, there's nobody. You can only choose those 2 people.
Yeah. You can only choose between Mo and I. We need to have kin to keep the podcast going because we're not gonna hit all 1,000 shows in our lifetime.
Oh boy.
All right, stopping.